you. Stand somewhat precariously up here and try not to fall off. Yes, well, I can promise you that one thing that will be very quick today is my speech. I'm not going to keep you all too long, firstly because I think we've been incredibly lucky just to get a dry window here, and I don't want to ruin it. And secondly, I'm sure there are lots of very young visitors who are absolutely desperate to get going on the trains, which, let's face it, is what this is all about. So I promise I won't keep you. Thank you very much indeed, Jack. Thank you to Michael. Thank you to Sherry and Hilary, Michael's sisters, and to everybody who's made me feel so welcome here today. It's a real pleasure, a privilege, and an honour to be here. It's interesting that you mentioned the Eurostar that we did 207 miles per hour on when they opened HS1, the new high-speed route from the Channel Tunnel terminal to London. It's interesting too that I think this now here is Britain's newest diesel locomotive. I don't know how long that's going to hold that record for, but this is the newest locomotive in the country, so we can all enjoy that. I am a model railway enthusiast. I started off very, very young, and it came out of visits to my grandfather's house. And I'm sure there'll be lots of young enthusiasts here today who perhaps pick up the hobby from grandparents in the same way I did. I grew up in rural Cambridgeshire, and my grandfather, who on my mother's side, who was a successful businessman and had been during the war a Spitfire pilot, he was a very interesting character, and he had a massive model railway. And to me, trips down to London at the age of 5 seemed impossibly exciting and glamorous, and the cherry on the cake was always a chance to play with this train. But in common with many young people here, I still recall the pained expression on his face after much tutoring and coaching. I was finally and ceremoniously handed the controller to be allowed to drive the first train when I was probably about 3 or 4 years old. And then, like all small boys everywhere, immediately to see simply how fast it would go until at the first corner it came off the tracks. But never mind. Anyway, I'd like to just say a couple of words about Pico. They are an amazing company, really. They're still, everything they make is made here in the UK, in the factory behind us here, with the exception of some components that are made just a little bit further along the coast. And yet, wherever you go in the world, model railway enthusiasts will know the name Pico, because the vast majority of us still use Pico track, and I think it's a tribute to the quality of the design that it's still ubiquitous around the world and still considered the absolute gold standard of ready-to-run, easy-to-use, robust, and yet very finely detailed model railway trackage. One last thing, John, the engineer here, mentioned Sir Alex Isigonis, and of course his mini engine is what powers this train. What he didn't mention was that they got the 40-year-old mini engine from eBay, which is perhaps something that Pico should common with many other model railway enthusiasts. Right. And quickly, before the microphone finally conks out on me as well, I'll just say that Sir Alex is very famously credited with coining the phrase that a camel is a horse designed by a committee. But what I would say, having been given the once-over by Caroline, the deputy engineer of this locomotive, is that it absolutely isn't. It's your vision, John. It's beautifully put together, and I'm really looking forward to naming it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Shall we go and do the honours then, Michael? Right, okay. So I'm going to lift the cloth. Are we ready? Okay, here we go. I'm going to name this locomotive Ben. Hey, brilliant. It's a fine name for a locomotive. Thank you very much.